Hi Sunflowers, I'll be doing another movie review in this video. The movie is the Saabarmathi Report. I'm having mixed feelings about this movie, but let's get into the disclaimers before I start the actual review. Whatever pictures you see or the background music you hear is not copyrighted by me. They are all taken from the World Wide Web. Thank you, Internet. I do not hold the copyrights for any of it. And actually, the background music is the background music that was used in the movie. These were all the songs that we heard in the background while watching the movie. That's that. I don't do a play-by-play, scene-by-scene version of my reviews. Previously subscribed and people who have watched those Sunflowers know that I don't do that. I try to give little tidbits of what I liked or what I might not have liked, maybe a few opinions, maybe a few rants, a little bit here and there about the movie, but I don't do a complete on the head sin report or anything like that. I might say a few mistakes I spotted in the movie, do a little bit of analysis, but nothing too critical, nothing too deep. And there will be spoilers. If you haven't seen the title, there will be spoilers because I will mention some things about the movie. A quick thing that has to be said about this movie is that it's a depiction or a kind of cinematic way of showing things that really happened in 2002. So I guess the spoilers are not necessary because it's something that already happened, so we already know the end result. People like me who didn't know exactly what the end result was, what exactly happened, yes, we were educated, but otherwise, I guess the spoiler thing is kind of redundant, because if you had gone into the movie knowing what already happened, then yeah, there's nothing kind of a spoiler, but they actually showed it, so that's the different thing. I think I've covered all my disclaimers. Let's get into the review. The starting was really good. It was really well done how they were trying to tell us the story, trying to get us into the story, trying to tell us what was going to happen and stuff like that. They showed the law thing, but then they went to the flashback, which wasn't a very smooth transition, I have to say. They showed us this strong lady and then she kind of broke. So I'm not sure if that was the actual character arc they were going for or whether that was what really happened, that reporters did have this kind of corruption going on internally. They showed us a little bit of political views, a little bit of what actually happened, and I later found out that this was what led to the Godhra riots, which I wrongly assumed was much earlier. For people who don't know, I'll give a brief thing about what happened. There was a train going from Ayodhya to Gujarat called as the Saabarmathi Express. And in the middle, there is this town called Godhra. And at Godhra, 2 bogies of the train caught fire, and if I'm getting the numbers right, 56 people lost their lives because of that fire. But later, that same train, not just later, like it was just those 2 bogies, the rest of the train went on to Gujarat. So the entire movie narrative is about how this happened, why this happened, who did it. And the presumption in the beginning is that it's an accident. It's an accidental fire, an accidental explosion, but it comes down to these 2 reporters going through the day, going through the years, investigating how it wasn't an explosion, wasn't a fire. So that is that in brief. Now let me get into things that kind of irked me. When the main character, Vikrant Mase's character, goes to see what happened, they showed the stone pelting that might have happened, after which why people in the train closed the windows. The stones were put really well, okay? I mean, it was like spot on a movie set, because the stones are put such equally distanced. I think they could have done that better. And once he crosses the empty track, they show a train coming. How does that work out? I think there was a mistake in the shots. And even before he is hit with a stone by rioters, we are shown an injury on his cheek. I think there was some continuity error, maybe. Movies are shot not in sequence. So maybe the stone pelting scene was shot before, and then the makeup people forgot to remove the injury makeup from him. That was one thing. Other than that, yes, thank you for educating me on this. The depiction of what might have happened, how each instance, each situation, each scenario is guessed throughout the movie was done really well. How they showed, like, through her research, Rashi Khanna's character actually finds out that it was through 60 to 70 liters of kerosene oil. Some oil was found in the train. So how was 60 to 70 liters even present in a train? And how they try to guess, like, oh, there was a stove. And they're like, why would there be 60 to 70 kerosene stoves? And it was a filled train. It was filled with people. How could so many people be cooking? And then they say a cigarette, and then he just lights a cigarette, and it's shown that how can a cigarette just make massive fire break out? So those depictions of those scenarios of what might have happened, there's other discussions also of how a girl was pulled into something, she was molested, and how they show that, how they show the stone pelting might have happened. Those depictions were done really well, I have to say. Let me say the positive part. The negative part, it was made too filmy, extremely filmy. Like, Vikrant Mase's character just becomes a full-on drunkard. He steals money from his maid and just gives it back to her as her rent or whatever. And it's like, how is he earning money? Okay, he does odd jobs as a dubbing artist. Okay, fine. But a full-on drunkard, they could have shown it as a time lapse, is what I felt. They showed it as an entire song sequence. It became too much into it, too much filmy. And then, when Vikrant Mase and Rashi Khanna's characters go to investigate that girl who was allegedly molested, and they find out people are watching an Indian-Pakistani cricket match, and they see that these people are cheering when India loses points. Were they trying to hinting at us that they're Pakistanis, or just leave it at that because of the censor board? I don't know. And then eventually they kept it really vague, and suddenly they showed us children, like kids celebrating how India had won, and they made that a bit filmy. How it was like, these are our future, these kids are our future, they are our legacy, we have hope in the future, something like that. That was also quite filmy. And instead of showing the actual investigative process, what they went through, they showed all these filmy aspects, and I felt that they spent a lot of time in the filmy aspects rather than depicting the actual investigative process. The corruption, the brutality was really heart-wrenching. I mean, I was like, why are they doing this? Why? And eventually they do find out it's a conspiracy, like at the very, very end. It's like 20 years later not 20 years later. It's like 2002, they have an investigation. 2007, there's one. And then 2017 is when they actually were able to arrest people, actually were able to give some people the death penalty. So it's nearly 15 years after the incident, and how they focus on justice delayed is justice denied, because so many people lost their lives. Innocent people who were not even remotely related to the incident lost their lives. But why was there a conspiracy? They show us a big shot person who apparently puts this front that he is helping victims who are wrongly accused, but actually he's the mastermind behind this entire plan of, pouring petrol and lighting up the train. If they wanted to make a point, they could have evacuated people in the train and just burnt the bogies, is what I found. Like, why was there a conspiracy? Why were so many people killed? Was it some political thing? The political thing that they do showcase is how they want to flip this incident into an accident. The aftermath was a political thing, is what they showed us. But was it actually a political thing? Was it actually a power play? They show us Sonia Gandhi character. They show us a few people from politics. But what was it? And then they also showcased that they were coming from Ayodhya. They had participated in a ritualistic Mahayagna, and then they were the Karsevaks. They were actually people who were really religious. Like, was it a religion power play? Because they showed us a lot of Muslim characters. So was it Muslim against Hindus? Or was it politics? Was it one party pitting against another party? Like, why was there a conspiracy? In the end, we do find out that it was a conspiracy. It wasn't an accident, but why was there a conspiracy? Is that still undergoing investigation? Like, is that a part 2 of the movie? Or maybe I should read more about the Godhra riots and the Saabarmathi incident. And at the very end, when Vikrant Massey's character has his own TV show and does eventually bring out the names of the people and say that these people were wronged, these people were unjustly killed, and he says every name, that was pretty good. But afterwards, they show us how the Gujarat High Court did an investigation, convicted so many people. They could have showed that before, because otherwise how was he finally able to do this? And they focused a lot about Hindi, which was a good thing, but it kind of like hit it on the head to us. Like, just because I'm a Hindi reporter, you're not giving me prominence. If it was English, you would have something like that. Hit us on the head on that for a lot of things. Other than that, yeah, and the romance was kept at a minimum with his first girlfriend, who was Shloka. It was fine, but yeah, eventually she leaves him because he is wrongly accused. That when he tries to bring out the truth to his own workplace, they try to shut him up. They throw him out of the premises. They allege that he has stolen a camera. He becomes a drunkard. Yeah. And Rashi Khanna's acting was pretty good, because she was showing that she was a fan of this great lady, and then suddenly she realizes that, oh, she's corrupt too. That was pretty good. And the line I liked was how when she said her name was Amrita, and the reporter said, you know what, I don't care what your name is until you do something great. But eventually she says, Amrita, this doesn't work out. And she says, ma'am, you've said my name. That means I must have done something great. And overall, I'm glad they educated us on it, but could have been done less filmier and more in depth of the investigative part, is what I felt. Even the last Ayodhya part was done very filmy, how it's like, oh, but now we have Ram Janmabhoomi, we've succeeded and all that. So gives me a feeling that they tried to hint towards it being a religious problem. So maybe that, was it politics, was it religion? I still have a lot of questions. I think I've come to the end of my review. Like I said, I had mixed emotions of this movie. Whether to watch or not to watch, I will leave it to you, because I myself am confused. They did do a good job on the informative part, but other things, yeah, could have been a little less filmy. That's what I felt. I think that's it. Hope you liked it. If you do have any comments, please feel free to leave them. They will be watched and read and acknowledged. Your subscription is my encouragement. It's an encouragement to continue doing videos. And please share if you do like this to anyone you feel will enjoy it. And ring the bell to be notified of new videos. Until next time, bye sunflowers.